Welcome, everybody. I'm Laura Baker, and I'm the Executive Director for Cyber Wyoming. Today, we're going to talk about cyber scores and what they mean to you. And feel free to stop me and ask questions during the presentation. I'm going to turn off my video just so the recording doesn't have my little head in the corner the entire time. But feel free to ask questions. I don't have anybody monitoring the chat today. So just unmute yourself and ask the question and stop me if you need to. First, a little bit about Cyber Wyoming. Cyber Wyoming is a nonprofit organization. We don't sell hardware, software, or technology implementation services. Our mission is to educate small business leaders and the IT workforce that surrounds this economy. Our program, Made Safe in Wyoming, trains small business leaders to manage their cyber risks through a fun format called Wyoming Cybersecurity Competition for Small Businesses. So this is our agenda. First, we're going to talk about what is a cyber score. We talk about how experts think it will be used in the future, what tools there are for your company to find out what your cyber score is, and how to get a better cyber score over time. So let's first start with what is a cyber score. A lot of people call this a cyber risk score. It is based in risk management. And I like to think of it as your company's credit score, but for cyber. It gives you an idea where you are in managing your online risk, your data privacy efforts, and your cybersecurity stance. The score is based in risk management principles, and it's an assessment, but don't let the word assessment scare you, and I'll tell you why later. It's really just a questionnaire. These are all the typical components of a cyber score, and we've all heard about these categories before. Passwords, I mean, I'm sure all of you have heard that quite a bit. But I want to point one out, employee training. And it's one of the cheapest investments you can make to make your cyber score better. When you combine it with a good employee manual that includes security policies and procedures, that is also an inexpensive way to make a difference in your cyber score. Now, I'm not downplaying technology implementations like getting a firewall, buying a password manager for your company. But if you can't afford them, I want to emphasize that there are ways that you can put things into place that won't cost you money. So we have free, no-thanks cybersecurity awareness trainings that are available to any employer in Wyoming. We had our interns put these together, and the interns were UW students. And we specifically told them, if it's not entertaining to you, don't put it in. And these are designed to be run by a non-technical office manager type of person in your office. So at the beginning of the month, the office manager hangs the poster to announce the topic, plans out an email tip or two to send throughout the month, prepares for a staff meeting where they play the video and discuss and create a discussion, or maybe at the staff meeting, they decide to play a game. Just sign up on our Contact Us page to get the free materials. We have ones on remote work, phishing, passwords, and 12 individual risk factors. And what those are, that is personality traits that you and I have that make us prone to clicking and what to do about it. So back to the cyber score and how it's expected to be used. First, experts have said that it may be used to determine insurance rates. But banks may also one day use it for business loan applications, just like a credit score. It's already being used to meet standards, national standards, especially like with the Department of Defense. And it could also be used to help you sleep better at night and have a better idea of how you're managing your company's risks and getting better at that management of those risks over time. So next on the agenda is what's out there for me to use to rate my company or you to use to rate your company. And that's where our journey started. Last fall, Cyber Wyoming started researching tools that were out there in absolute earnest, looking for small business cyber scoring tools. And here's what we found. For larger businesses that have IT help, one of the best free tools is the CRR, which is the Cyber Resilience Review by CISA. CISA is the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, part of the Department of Homeland Security. And you can download this self-assessment and the user guide and everything that comes with it. Some of you may know Mickey Munson and Tim Walsh, who are our Wyoming region representatives. And if you do know them, ask them about this. This is a great tool. You can go out online and find it. And here are some of the links. This assessment comes free with Assista Audit if you are part of that part of our critical infrastructure in Wyoming or anywhere in the nation. The audit is free. And so the CRR you can do on your own, but if you want to do it in preparation for Assista Audit that you sign up for, that would be a great idea and a great way to prep for it. Because these assessments and audits are detailed and they also use tech speak language, you probably do need a tech person to help you through it. This assessment assumes that you have a server room and a product that controls user access like Active Directory installed on a server in your server room. If you don't have those things, this assessment may not be the right thing for you. However, if you want to go for Department of Defense contracts and are starting to prepare for it, start here. It'll tell you what you're going to be asked, and it's good information and preparation for the Department of Defense standards. It's very similar to the CMMC document that the Department of Defense uses. Next, let's talk about tools for medium-sized businesses in Wyoming. The National Cybersecurity Society, which I'm going to call NCSS because National Cybersecurity Society is quite a mouthful. The NCSS has a cybersecurity assessment and resiliency evaluation for small businesses. Now they call this CARES. I like that much easier than that mouthful as well. CARES was adapted from the CERT, C-E-R-T, Resilience Management Model, and CMMI, which is the Capability Maturity Model Integration. Now that's a lot of acronyms that are tech acronyms. You don't need to know the acronyms. I just want you to know that these are legitimate acronyms and that they're well known in the tech industry. So what this does, what the CARES does, is it defines your cybersecurity maturity level for you. So it's a small assessment. The framework aligns with the NIST cybersecurity frameworks, which NIST is the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and that is definitely one of the premier ones out there. The CRR self-assessment is also aligned with the NIST. And it is, and it can be found under the National Cybersecurity Society's resource page. It is free. You do not have to be a member of the National Cybersecurity Society to run it. And it's designed for, and it's much smaller. It has about 30 questions. And so if you want to just dip your toe into the water instead of going through the large CRR assessment, you can definitely do that and start thinking what it looks like. It's really designed still for a little bit larger businesses than, you know, the mom and pop businesses in our state. It does assume that your company has IT staff and a server or two, and that you use that user access control software like Active Directory. I did do this assessment for Cyber Wyoming, and we do not have Active Directory or a server. Most of our stuff's in the cloud, and I thought it was pretty good. Even though some of the 30 questions didn't really make sense for our particular environment. But since you're not committing to, you know, 100 plus questions, or 200 plus in some cases, and you're only looking at 30, it's kind of a nice watered down version of what you might be getting yourself into. And it gives you a great maturity level, as we saw on the previous page, 0 through 5. So last fall, we did a ton of research just trying to find a cyber score for really small businesses. And when I say really small, I mean, you know, ABC Plumbing has 3 desktops or laptops, no servers, everything's in the cloud, and really just needs to secure their little tiny wireless network with their 3 laptops on it. And our research really, we couldn't find a tool that fit that, that micro business. And these micro businesses are dominant in Wyoming, but they're also a large part of the US economy, the private sector economy. I think I saw some sort of statistic that said it was close to 60% of our economy. Well, in Wyoming, I'm just talking to some of the people that serve small businesses in Wyoming, it's probably closer to 90%. So since we couldn't find a research tool that fit that we could provide for others, we took all of these other assessments that we did find, and we found 7 or 8 of them that we thought would be pretty good, that created a cyber score. And we added our own experience from the Made Safe in Wyoming program and Wyoming cybersecurity competition. And we ended up creating one for micro businesses like this ABC Plumbing that I just described. So it's easy to use. It doesn't have text speak. It has 70 questions, so it's a little bit more in depth, and it takes about 20 minutes to complete. And before you start the assessment, it's a good idea to walk around your office or your home office and write down what you have to protect: your computers, your wireless router, your cable modem, if you have a Ring doorbell or an Alexa. And then think about your cloud systems that you hit all the time, your banking portals, to QuickBooks in the cloud, to Vistaprint where you order your business cards, maybe your payroll processing or your workers' comp portal. Think about benefits. Just go through your browser and think about all the things that you hit on a day-to-day basis, and make sure you have a good idea in your head of what those cloud systems look like. Then call us and we'll help you with a cyber score, and it's free. We'll give you a report with your initial score. The 70 questions can be a little bit overwhelming, so we'll walk you through it. Just contact us at info@cyberwyoming.org to make an appointment. And the cyber score is just one part of our Made Safe in Wyoming program, which we run each year as Wyoming cybersecurity competition for small businesses. But if you don't feel comfortable competing, sign up anyway. We just won't send in the judge's report. It's not that big of a deal. You don't have to compete. The competition is free because of these amazing companies, some of which are on this call today. So I want to thank you very much for helping us with Wyoming's economic resilience and making sure that cyber leaders and business leaders throughout the state can manage their risks. Registration for the 2025 competition is now open, so feel free to check it out and register. You can get an early start. It doesn't officially start till February 1st, but we could start early and you could finish early. So the last item on the agenda, how do you use this to sleep better at night? You measure your progress. So you figured out which tool works for your company and you've got your initial risk score. You use the categories on the risk score to begin changing some things. Yes, maybe you buy a password manager, but maybe you also update your employee manual to include cybersecurity tips and procedures. So here's a fake company, Rubber Duck Company, and a good example is they didn't know how their backups were set up. You know, somebody came in 3 years ago and set up some backups for they had a NAS, which is a network attached storage. And they didn't quite know how those backups were set up. They knew it was being replicated from one drive to the next drive on the network attached storage. But they didn't know if they were being backed up to the cloud. And they didn't know if they were being backed up somewhere else on site. They weren't quite sure. So what they did, you can see their first score was 16. And their ending score was 1. So what this fake company did is they made sure they understood how their backups were working. They documented it, and they made sure that they could recover from their backups and that they were working properly, and it decreased their risk in this category. And we can help you do things like this in Wyoming cybersecurity competition. And remember, it's free. But that's the type of stuff that we would be doing, is helping you figure things out so that you can sleep better at night. So we've finished our agenda, and I want to thank you so much for attending this webinar on what is a cyber score and why should I care. And I'd like to open it up to questions, but I'm going to stop the recording so that you can ask questions off record.